All right, welcome back everybody to Rockin' Dr. Rocks and the weekly drought cropping update. So let's go to the maps and see what's out there today. We're going to start with the current large fire incident map dated today. So this was released this morning. We've been following a couple of the large fires down here in New Mexico, and they have been downgraded from the red to the blue, and only one of them is showing. We've also been following the Moose fire up in Idaho. The statistics on that from this morning's report is just a little over 68,000 acres, a 6% increase through the day yesterday, looking at containment in the middle of September. And of course that will be climate dependent, rain dependent, and those types of things. So we'll keep watching on these through the fire season. If we go to the firms map, we can see the large fires, and I've got this set to fires over 1,000 acres in size. And so here locally, there's this fire in just across the South Dakota-Wyoming border that is under 7,000 acres, 94% contained, and we are still getting some smoke from that. Called the Fish Fire. So here it is on the western side of the Black Hills. I'm here in Rapid City. So let's take a look and see if the MODIS shows anything for smoke and cloud cover. And so yesterday and today it's pretty much been cloud cover around here. We had in the foothills of the Black Hills yesterday evening about just under 0.4 inches. I think they got more out to the prairie in the east of town. But we can't see any of the smoke with that. So if we go over here to Idaho, and let's take a look at this Moose fire, and this is 68,000 acres, 14% contained, as we just saw. We can zoom to its location and see the footprint of that, and let's see if we can see anything on the satellite. And again, pretty good cloud cover. But we can again see the valleys in through here are filled with the kind of darker blue smoke through these valleys, kind of obscured by the clouds. And then last week, as we tracked this through to the east and we got into the Yellowstone area, we could see the smoke pooling in the Jackson Hole area. This part of the country looks to be completely under cloud cover today, and we're not able to track any smoke through there. So again, we'll keep an eye on these fires as they burn out and are put out as they go into the fall. Okay, so in terms of crop and vegetation stress, again, we look at fires for an indication of dryness, basically. And so we'll start with the vegetation maps, looking at the VegDry map. And VegDry, again, is compiled from satellite imagery using climate data, and that is the Palmer Drought Severity Index, the PDSI, and the Standard Precipitation Index over 36-week value, or the SPI, and those are input with land use, soil types, ecology, and produces a 1 square kilometer map, which is pretty high resolution, looking at vegetative conditions. So the scale over here, the reds are various stages of severe drought, and then moderate drought. Yellow is pre-drought, and then you get into the greens and blue and are higher water contents. So this map is good. You see, as I'm moving around from state to state, the states light up and you can go to each individual state. But right now we're looking at crops, and so what we see on crops is pretty much the entire western U.S. is barren. The crops that do show up through the valley here in Idaho and most of these areas are going to be irrigated. The Columbia Plateau up here in Washington State, a lot of that is not irrigated, but there is a lot that is as well. But you can see the main cropping region through the central part, the Great Plains, and then eastern in through the Corn Belt, and pre-drought stress to some severe drought in these areas. We can go up and select rangeland, and you kind of see a reversal of this map, and the western part of the country will come alive because those are the areas of rangeland. And then the severe drought from Texas on up this swath through the central part of the country, and then over on in the west areas in Utah and Nevada primarily. Okay, and you can also select the complete, which is everything. So that is the crops and the rangeland situation as of the end of July. So this map is almost a week old at this point. Okay, so we've looked at U.S. drought monitor, and this is that slider. This is set to the 6th, I believe. Let's go up and check. Or August 2nd was the last date with the week previous, July 26th. And as we move the slider through, we're changing from July 26th to the most current image, which was the 2nd of August. And as we pull through here, there's not much change. So this indicator of a drought is pretty stable and has been for a couple of weeks. So it looks like the drought patterns and the severe drought patterns have been locked in for probably close to a month now. Pretty much all of Texas, a swath up through Kansas and Nebraska, and then most of the West is in a severe drought situation. So the Vegscape map then looks at the NDVI, which is Vegetation Index, compiled again from satellite imagery looking at red and infrared bands. And this map right here that we're looking at is the last weekly product that's available from 7/25, so the end of July. But we have daily images for August, and so let's go through and look at, so this is the national map. Again, we talked about this last week. These darker green over here is probably, you know, the corn belt and corn coming on, growing strong. The more barren, dry areas that are naturally desert and dry, barren rock, bare soils, those types of things, scrub brush in the western U.S. show as these kind of reds and oranges. So let's go through and look at August 1 on a daily map. And again, you can see these kind of gray areas, very low NDVI. So this would be very low vegetative growth or vegetation stress. And that's probably these daily values are looking at vegetative stress, and so they're responding to periods of precipitation that might occur in certain parts of the country over a day, and then change the growth status or the stress conditions of the plants. And so you can see on the first there was pretty broad area of a kind of a flash drought coming through the southern part of the U.S., traveling across west to east. On the second, then that pretty much went away with kind of a bullseye up here in Illinois, Indiana, and over in the west, mainly Wyoming. The third, again, shifts now this area through Missouri, up through Iowa, into Wisconsin, Michigan, show a flash drought area. And again, this vegetative stress doesn't mean the vegetation is dead, just that the growing conditions, the stress conditions are changing daily. Okay, August 4th, again, kind of shifting down into the south central, I guess you'd call it. The 5th, big area over here in the west. And the 6th, which was yesterday, showing an extension of that up into our part of the country where I'm at. Again, we had rain last night, and so that's not recorded on this image. The 7th, August 7th data is not compiled yet. But these are good indications of how things are changing day to day throughout the country. And again, you can see good growth and high growth in these darker greens over in these areas. So if you live in any of these areas, you can go into these maps and you can zoom in a little closer. This Vegscape has a 250 meter resolution, which is about 15 acres. So you could get in and view some quite detailed areas with this, if that would be of interest to you. So currently, right now on August 7th, this is what the radar map is showing across the U.S. And so there's a few linear storms that are developing in South Dakota through Nebraska, Illinois and Iowa, and Indiana, these areas over here. And then through the southeast, it's kind of just scattered rain. So that's what the current condition is. I just thought we'd take a look at the model. This is the GFS model, starting at the current time. And so give you a second to figure out where you're at. Here's South Dakota, right over here where I'm at in the western part of South Dakota. And we click this forward, and it's going to run through by 6-hour periods. So it's starting at, this is 12Z on August 7. And it's going to run through, and the time is going to be up here. So now we're going into August 8th, August 9th, and August 10th on Wednesday. So I'll stop it there, because after that, this is getting out 100 hours plus. It's probably not going to be that accurate. Things are going to change quite a bit. So this is what the computer models are showing. But for the upper Great Plains area where I'm at, you can see we're staying pretty dry. I'll run it back here. So up in our area, pretty dry until probably the 13th or 14th. The southeast has got daily storms moving through that area with scattered showers and rains and storms out in the west. So for the areas that are under drought, looks like Texas might get some relief on some of these days going out. It's going on the 11th and 12th. Again, whether that materializes or not is uncertain at this time. But Texas is staying kind of dry. Up through the Midwest is staying pretty dry, with isolated storms here and there. Okay, so this is long-term. Again, doesn't necessarily mean that this is what is going to happen. It's just what the models are showing right now. And the further out you get, like already a week out plus, probably not that accurate. But long-term conditions are the central part of the country looks like it's going to be staying dry. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you looking at your area, trying to correlate what's going on with what you're experiencing. You can get online and look at all these maps, look at more detail, zoom into particular areas of the country you're in. So stay out of the heat, stay cool. Thanks for watching. See you next week.